Four friends find themselves trapped in a jungle filled with cannibal tribes. Whether they manage to escape or not, you'll find out soon. So stick around till the end. The movie begins deep in the jungles of Southeast Asia, where a group of American workers is busy cutting trees. One worker suddenly senses something in the jungle, someone watching him. As he looks around, he spots a strange man standing in front of his machine, but in the blink of an eye, the man hides behind a tree. Curious, the worker considers checking it out, but his colleague stops him, reminding him that they have extra work today. He restarts the machine and continues cutting trees. Meanwhile, the other worker ventures into the jungle, but before he can react, something, or someone, attacks and kills him. His friend, shocked, follows to check what happened. When he arrives, he sees a blood-soaked helmet, confirming his worst fear. His colleague has been killed. Suddenly, he feels something lurking nearby and starts running. While escaping, he nearly falls into a trap, but manages to dodge it just in time. He keeps running, but eventually gets caught in a rope trap, leaving him hanging upside down. Then, out of the shadows, a terrifying tribal man appears, his face covered in blood. The worker realizes in horror that this man has eaten his friend. Without hesitation, the tribe member lifts an axe and kills him. The scene cuts abruptly. Next, we meet four friends, two couples, Nick and Jasmine, and AJ and Maya. Nick and AJ have been best friends for a long time. They decide to go on an adventurous river rafting trip to explore the jungle while staying on the water. However, Nick warns that the river is home to crocodiles and snakes. AJ, suspicious of Nick's generosity, asks why he's covering all expenses. Nick brushes it off, saying it's just a friendly treat. Later that night, AJ tells Maya he finds it odd that Nick is spending so much on them. Maya reassures him, saying that Nick values their friendship deeply. The next day, they head out for their adventure. Upon reaching the river, they wait for their guide. After some time, the guide arrives, visibly excited to see them. He asks if they have ever ridden a boat before, to which they reply that it's their first time. He hands them life jackets and takes them to the riverbank, where small boats await. He explains that each boat can hold only 2 people. The couples split into their respective boats, while the guide gets into his own and starts teaching them how to paddle properly. Before they go further, the guide pays the boat owner. Then he collects everyone's phones, explaining that there's no signal in the jungle anyway, so carrying them is pointless. Everyone hands over their phones except AJ, who refuses, saying he might still need his in case the signal returns. The guide locks the phones in a waterproof bag, and they set off on their journey. As they row down the river, they admire the peaceful surroundings and even spot monkeys along the way. Curious, Jasmine asks the guide how long he has been doing this job. He shares that he's been working in the jungle for years, and that his grandfather used to do the same. He recounts how his grandfather mysteriously disappeared one day while researching the forest. Later, searchers only found his belongings and bones, suggesting he had been killed. The group asks what kind of animal could have done this, and the guide warns that humans can be more dangerous than animals. He mentions the legend of the cannibal tribes that still exist in the jungle, hunting and eating people. When asked if he has ever seen these tribes, he admits he never has. After rowing for a while, they take a break. Suddenly, Jasmine runs to the side and starts vomiting. Nick rushes to her side, revealing that she is pregnant. However, Nick doesn't seem happy about it, which raises some questions that will be answered later. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the jungle, we see 2 biker couples enjoying their ride. They decide to go live on their channel, showing their audience the dense forest. Their live stream gains a lot of viewers. As they continue riding, disaster strikes. A thin wire suddenly appears in front of one biker, slicing his neck, killing him instantly. Suddenly, behind her, a tribe member appears. But before she can react, he vanishes into the darkness. Shaking, she pulls out her phone and starts recording a message, stating that if anyone finds her phone, They should send the message to her mother. Just then, her boyfriend's severed head is thrown at her feet. Shocked, she barely has time to scream before a tribal man slits her throat, ending her life. Back to the four friends, they have reached a clearing along the river. AJ tries turning on his phone, but there's still no signal. Jasmine approaches him, and AJ laughs in response, hinting at a secret between them. As the day comes to an end, the group decides to camp in the jungle. They set up their sleeping areas between the trees. As night falls, the guide sits alone, and Maya joins him for a conversation. She asks if he always stays in the jungle, to which he replies that it's his job, and he has no other choice. Maya then asks if he is married, and he jokes that he is married to the jungle, since no woman would want a man who spends all his time here. Curious, she asks how he ended up doing this job. He shares that his grandfather, George, was a researcher who came to the jungle to study it but mysteriously disappeared years ago. He believes the cannibal tribes killed him. Maya asks if he really thinks these tribes exist, and the guide tells her a chilling story. He explains that a few months ago, a worker saw the tribe members and was attacked. Instead of killing him immediately, they captured him and took him to their hideout, a cave. Since they have no refrigerators to store meat, they keep their victims alive and cut them apart piece by piece so the flesh remains fresh. One day, the worker managed to escape by jumping into the river. Though he survived, he was severely injured. When he was found and told his story, no one believed him. The guide insists this is why he came to the jungle, to find out the truth about these tribes and what happened to his grandfather. Just then, AJ interrupts their conversation, dismissing the guide's story as nonsense. Afterward, everyone heads back to their tents to sleep. In the middle of the night, Jasmine wakes up feeling thirsty and walks into the forest to drink some water. As she makes her way back, AJ suddenly grabs her. AJ and Jasmine are having a romantic conversation, confirming their relationship. AJ suggests they kiss, but Jasmine reminds him that her husband is just a few meters away and might hear them. AJ insists they should wait for the right moment, then go back to their partners. He promises to tell the truth so they can be together, but Jasmine is impatient. She reveals that she is pregnant and deeply in love with him. However, AJ hesitates. He argues that he can't leave Maya yet because if they get married, her father will transfer all his property to her. His plan is to marry Maya, get the money, then leave her for Jasmine. This disgusts Jasmine, and she storms off. AJ, frustrated, goes back to sleep. Unknown to them, Nick and Maya are actually awake and have overheard everything. They already know their partners are cheating, but have stayed quiet because they still love them. The next morning, they wake up and realize that Nick is missing. Panicked, they try to figure out where he went. The guide arrives and informs them that a phone bag is missing from his boat, meaning Nick took it. Worried, they jump into a boat and start searching for him. After a while, they spot his boat. They dive into the water to look for him while the guide waits in the river. Suddenly, the guide hears strange noises from the jungle. He grips his knife tightly, sensing danger. As he moves forward, he finds several puppets hanging from the trees. One puppet is made from his grandfather's clothes, confirming his worst fear. The cannibals who killed his grandfather are nearby. As he processes this, he sees a tribe member watching him from a distance. Terrified, he runs back toward the river, but before he can escape, another tribe member appears and slits his throat, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, AJ, Jasmine, and Maya continue searching for Nick. They reach a cave where they find a biker helmet, but the head inside is missing. Suddenly, Nick appears and startles them. He assures them he's fine and just needed to make an important call. They scold him for leaving without telling them. Nick brushes it off, claiming he needed time alone to relax. As they head back, tension rises. Nick starts teasing AJ, calling Maya beautiful and questioning why he would chase after someone else. AJ realizes that Nick knows about the affair and becomes visibly upset. Maya, overhearing everything, is also heartbroken. When they return to the riverbank, they find the guide missing and assume he abandoned them. They board their boat and move ahead. Not long after, they discover the guide's boat covered in blood. Fear takes over as they head into the jungle to investigate. They soon stumble upon a pot of boiling water, and inside, they see the guide's severed head. Shocked and horrified, they flee, but suddenly, the tribe attacks. One of the tribe members is immediately killed by the group in self-defense, but this enrages the rest of the tribe. A fierce warrior, the dead tribe member's leader, emerges holding deadly weapons. Seeing his fallen companion, he performs a brutal ritual by ripping out his heart and eating it. Fueled by rage, he starts chasing them for revenge. As night falls, the group finds a temporary resting place. While resting, Judge thanks Nick for paying for the trip. But Nick, in a passive-aggressive tone, thanks Judge for spending the night with someone else. Judge is stunned, finally realizing Nick knows about his betrayal. Maya, also listening, is devastated. With night approaching, they decide to camp. Maya gathers fruits for everyone. She reminds them that the tribe won't kill them quickly. Instead, they prefer hunting their victims one by one so they can preserve the meat for longer. The group grows more terrified. They agree that one person should stay on guard while the others sleep. Nick volunteers first. Maya joins him, offering fruit. She reassures him they just need to keep moving toward the river and they'll eventually escape. However, Nick doubts it. He confesses that Jasmine's baby isn't his, shocking Maya. But she admits she already knew and promises to take care of Jasmine. Later, AJ takes over the watch. Mosquitoes attack him, so he smears mud on his skin. While keeping watch, he spots a tribe member nearby. Gripping his knife, he prepares to attack. A fierce fight breaks out, waking Nick. As Nick rushes to help, he gets bitten. Yaz, trying to assist, slips and falls. When Yaz regains consciousness, he sees his friends have been captured. He realizes he can't save them, so he makes a promise to protect Nick's wife before running away. Nick, meanwhile, is beaten mercilessly by the tribe. A young boy, about to make his first kill, chases Nick. Eventually, the boy catches up and kills him. Later, the tribe cooks and eats Nick's body. The next morning, Jasmine and Maya wake up and find AJ covered in blood. He tells them Nick went to find a car. Suspicious, the girls doubt him, but he insists they should trust him and follow him. As they move forward, Jasmine falls into a trap, impaling her shoulder with a wooden log. AJ and Maya work together to pull her out. Maya apologizes for betraying her, but Jasmine already knows. She forgives her, and they press on. Reaching the top of a mountain, they decide to jump into a river. They spot their boat, climb aboard, and begin moving downstream. But AJ senses something is off. He goes into the jungle and records a message on his phone. He places the phone in a tree and plays the recording. The hunter, hearing the voice, rushes toward the sound, but realizes too late that it's just a phone. AJ seizes the opportunity and attacks. They engage in a brutal fight. The hunter overpowers AJ, stabbing him in the neck. As the hunter prepares to finish him, AJ manages to cut the rope binding him and leaps into the water. He strangles the hunter, killing him. With the threat gone, AJ tells the girls to escape. He then charges into the tribe's territory, fighting them off with a knife, but he is outnumbered. They stab him repeatedly, killing him. Jasmine and Maya, now alone, follow the river until they reach civilization. A tourist sees them and gives them a ride back to the city. And with that, the horrifying nightmare finally ends. If you like this movie, then don't forget to subscribe the channel.